Good day, folks. Welcome to Andrew's Life. I hope everyone's doing great today. Well, how many of you out here ever had a issue to where you open up your bank statements, or you call your bank using a hotline number, or you go online and you look at the activity that has been going on your account? Now, for those of you that don't do that on a regular basis, you need to start doing that on a regular basis. And this video is going to show you why. So, for those of you that do look at your account on a regular basis, as you should, well, here's a woman out of Chicago that she has not been looking at her account on a regular basis. And then when she decided to check out her account, she looked at her account and there were some unpleasant surprises. Now, for those of you that automatically assume that if you look at your account and you notice some activity that you have not approved of, a lot of you probably assume, okay, whatever, I'll just call the bank and then the bank will give me that money back and everything will be good. And the bank will do their investigation, whatever, but they'll give you your money back, everything will be good. Well, unfortunately for this woman, that's not how things went. And unfortunately, this can happen to you. In fact, I have a good friend up in Indiana that she's going through this right now as I speak with Chase Bank. So I'm going to play the video and I'm going to come back. We're going to have a discussion.
Hans, when was the last time you checked the balance of your savings account? If you haven't looked for a while, your bank may not have your back if there's fraud on your account. This is a lesson one Calumet Heights woman learned the hard way, unfortunately. PJ Randawa shares the story.
I worked my butt off.
For 18 years, Courtney White was a sergeant with the Markham Police Department, and that's where she got her nickname.
I was the overtime queen at work, so all my overtime money went into my savings for my family.
To help those savings grow, Courtney set up a Chase bank account in 2001 with no debit card and no checks.
I deliberately had my savings account set up where I would have to walk into the bank to make transactions.
And that's what Courtney did every month for years to withdraw money for her son's allowance.
How much money had been in there up until that point?
Probably about $100,000, between 80 and 100.
But one day in the fall of 2022, Courtney heard the words many of us dread: insufficient funds. For the first time in months, she checked her account balance.
There were daily withdrawals, probably two to four every day, thousands of dollars.
She learned someone had been impersonating her, withdrawing a total of $87,000 from her Chase account, mostly in person at this Chase branch on 103rd Street. It happened for more than a year.
If you look at all of the withdrawal slips, you can clearly see the difference in the handwriting. So I don't know how they couldn't catch that.
Courtney filed a police report and has filed several fraud claims with Chase Bank since then, but all of them denied. The reason? Chase said she hadn't reported the fraud within 30 days of receiving her statement.
Somebody should have recognized that this is an outrageous amount of transactions every day. There should have been some sort of alert. I've never banked like that. And like I said, I've had Chase for 20 years.
NBC5 Response took a closer look at that Chase Bank branch on 103rd. Chicago police records show more than half a dozen Chase customers who used this branch reported unauthorized withdrawals on their accounts within the past few years. The scenarios described, all similar to Courtney's. The data also gave us more insight into what else was happening inside this Chase branch. We found more than a dozen Chase customers reported they were robbed or scammed while using the ATM inside the branch. Also frustrating, when it came to Courtney's case, she said Chase wouldn't provide any surveillance video to show who was making all of those withdrawals. In a statement, a Chase Bank spokesperson told NBC5 Response it reviewed Ms. White's case from 3 years ago and has not reversed its decision. In response to our questions about all the police reports filed at Courtney's Chase branch, they would only say the safety of our employees and customers is our top priority, and our security team works closely with local law enforcement to monitor and ensure that. But as a result of losing her life savings, Courtney says she had to make the heartbreaking decision to take her son out of private school.
I worked hard for that money. And that's what I did for a living, help people who are victims of crimes, fraud, and here I became a victim myself.
Here are some key takeaways. Make it a habit to check the balance on all your bank accounts. Like Chase, your bank may require you to file a fraud claim for suspicious charges within 30 days of receiving your account statement. Set up balance or transaction alerts for your accounts, even the ones you don't use very often. PJ Randhawa, NBC5.
Hey, folks, let's have the discussion. Like I told you before, I have a good friend up in Indiana that, they're going through the exact same thing as I speak with Chase Bank. In fact, I'm going to call them up a little later and let them know that this video was out. Because it's funny that this story came up because me and my friend, we were just talking on the phone, and my friend was telling me the other day that it happened to them. It was something similar to what happened to this woman out of Chicago, except not quite as many zeros at the end. So this woman, as you guys heard, she worked for the Chicago Police Department. And these people done stole quite a bit of money, as you guys heard. It's crazy. Now, what I think is crazy about this story is the fact that the people that stole her money, they stole about $100,000 of her money. I think they stole like $87,000 of her money. I think that's what they said, if I can remember. What's crazy to me is she's been banking at this branch, apparently, for a very long time. Like for over a couple of decades. And what's crazy to me is the fact that no red flags went off in the minds of these workers. Like when this person wanted to make the withdrawal, nobody bothered to look at any driver's license, because I know for me, if I go and I want to make a withdrawal, the bank who I bank with, even when I banked for Chase, I don't bank with Chase anymore, and I'm glad I don't. But even when I used to bank for Chase, the teller will always ask me for identification along with my bank card. I would also have to fill out a paper with some information if I went inside the branch to make a withdrawal. What I'm trying to figure out is, how did these people get away with so much of her money? Did anybody not ask these people for identification to make sure they were whose name was on that account? Did anybody not require these people to provide an accurate banking number, social security number, anything to identify themselves? To me, if they would have been required to provide a banking card as well as a picture ID, a valid picture ID, then that would have put a stop to this whole madness right there and then. What it sounds like to me is, if I want to give the workers at this branch the benefit of the doubt, I would say that the workers were heavily negligent. Now, if I wanted to not give them the benefit of the doubt, I would say Chase Bank done hired some crooks. And I don't know. I'm beginning to think it could be a mixture of both. Unfortunately, this is not the only story of somebody getting their money stolen while they have an account with Chase Bank. There's other stories online to where people who have Chase Bank accounts get their money stolen. So this is not the only story. Like I told you, I got a friend in Indiana who's going through this madness as I speak. So that's two situations right there that I know of. So my suggestion is, if you bank with Chase and you're not in the process of buying a house or buying a car or making any big ticket purchase to where you would need to keep that bank account with Chase, I would go to your Chase branch today and shut down that account and open up an account with another bank. Now, I used to bank with Chase. Now, fortunately for me, nothing like this happened to none of my money, fortunately. But I quit banking with Chase because there's no Chase branches close to where I currently live. And that was the reason why I quit banking with Chase. Now, and I'm so glad I decided, like even when I moved back to Indiana temporarily last year, I thought about opening up a Chase account again, but something told me to not do that. And I'm glad I listened to my instincts and I decided to not open up an account with Chase. But if you go online and you go on YouTube even, there's gonna be a whole crap ton of stories talking about how people basically got their money stolen from beneath them from at Chase Bank. Which, like I said, for the life of me, I don't know how that's even possible. If you ask the person for proper identification and their bank card, how the hell are they going to be able to walk away with somebody else's money? They're not. Which is why I say that the workers, in this case that I'm talking about, were heavily negligent. Now my friend, her situation was a little different. Like I said, less zeros at the end. And secondly, my friend, somebody, I guess, hacked their account and they made a bunch of online purchases. And much like what's going on with this woman in Chicago, my friend is actively going back and forth with Chase Bank, trying to get Chase Bank to return all the funds back to their account since the withdrawals were not approved of. Because apparently with Chase Bank, you only got so much time to dispute a transaction that you did not approve of. And once that time frame passes, so sad, too bad, you lose your money. So my friend, they're trying to fight that like this woman in Chicago is trying to fight that. And I hope she gets all her money back because that's crazy. In fact, let me say this. How can you prevent this from happening to you? Well, the best way that you can prevent this from happening to you is check your bank account regularly. That's the key. Check your bank account regularly. Like with me, I check my bank account every day. Sometimes whenever I make a big ticket purchase or whenever I make some kind of a purchase online, I'll check my account twice a day. I'll check it at the beginning of the day and I'll check it before I go to bed. But at the minimum, check your account every day. Pick a time of the day to where you got time to call your bank and check things out, or you got time to go on your phone and check things out, or you got time to walk into the branch and check things out. But whatever you do, however you do it, check your bank account every day, at least once a day. That way, if anything comes up, kind of like what happened to this woman in Chicago, kind of like what I told you happened to my friend, you can go immediately and dispute that, and then that way they can't try to pull that BS about, well, you took too long, it was too many days, and so sad, too bad, you're out of luck. And also, the sooner you catch it, the sooner you can make the necessary moves to prevent any further activity from going on, like, shut that account down, change your banking number, change your card number, change your checking account, whatever you gotta do. And I don't really have anything else to say on this video. Just like I said in closing, if you bank with Chase, I would go ahead and close your Chase account down and take your money and go bank with some other bank. to where the workers are a little bit more competent and they're not going to allow other people to blatantly come into the branch and steal your money like what happened to this lady in Chicago. So stay blessed. I'll catch you guys on the next one.